It's time for Hog Sports Live from HawgSports.com, a division of 24/7 Sports, presented by Crain Automotive. The Crain team's got 'em. Visit them online at crainteam.com. And now with the latest breaking updates on Hog Sports, here's Trey Biddy.
What's up, everybody? Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com, HawgSports.com. Well, we've been off the show for a week. I've been sick for 8 days. I'm still a little bit sick. I don't know if I've ever been this sick this long in my life, but trying to come back around. We've obviously got a lot going on with the Razorbacks, with basketball, baseball starting up this weekend. We're going to bring on Connor Goodson to talk a little bit about the latest in basketball, and Kevin Bohannon to talk baseball, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what's going on with football. All that more on today's episode of Hog Sports Live. The Crain Automotive Team has 16 locations across our state and is home to the Crain commitment. You'll find Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Hyundai, Kia, Volkswagen, and access to thousands of pre-owned vehicles. Vehicles for every lifestyle and every budget. Even if you're not in the market for a vehicle, the Crain Team Service Centers offer the latest in vehicle diagnostic technology and certified technicians to take care of your vehicle and get you back on the road. Check them out at crainteam.com. Hog Sports Live is driven by the Crain Automotive Team.
You've done it. Now you're the Crain Cash Champ. You just won big with the Crain Team. Go ahead, soak it up. How could you not feel like a winner? You dominated with our low price guarantee, and you got way more for your trade. Plus, with statewide delivery on thousands of vehicles from 16 locations, and the fact that we'll beat any other dealer's price, we make our Kansans feel like champions every day. That's winning. That's the Crain Team. Visit crainteam.com.
What a boring Super Bowl. What a boring Super Bowl. 29-13 Seattle over New England. I mean, just from the beginning, I mean, it's what, 9-0 at halftime? I mean, I've never been just so bored watching a Super Bowl. We did taco night. Interested to see what everybody did for food for the Super Bowls. I guess that was probably a highlight of it. Some good commercials. I like the Guy Fieri Bosch commercial where he's just like, I'm just a regular guy. You know, and then he turns into Guy Fieri. I mean, it was him the whole time, but I thought that was good. The Pepsi Polar Bear, a lot of people have said they like that. I don't know. I feel like they kind of stole the polar bears from Coca-Cola. Let me know what your favorite commercial was. I don't think anything was just outstanding about the Super Bowl, to be honest. Arkansas football signing 3 on signing day. Obviously, we didn't do the show last week, so we didn't talk about any of these guys. But Jalen Allen's really the only new guy. He's originally from North Little Rock, 6'7", 245-pounder, who played in 11 games as a redshirt freshman at, was it Hutchinson, right? I believe Hutchinson. They don't have his – yeah, they don't have his junior college on here. But anyway, as a redshirt freshman, he had 10 sacks last year, 6'7", 245 pounds. So that, to me, brings the total to 90.67 scholarships. Obviously, you got 2 guys that are on a third of a scholarship right now, and Donovan Witten and who's the other one? Aaron Smith. So those guys are both on it. But just this semester, I don't guess that carries over to next year. So technically they have 90 guys on full scholarships right now, although they can split them up if they want to. But that's kind of been the target that people have gone to in the SEC. They've allowed for 105, but all the ADs said, hey, let's do 90. So 90 scholarships. They're right at that mark right now with Jalen Allen. Also, Hank Hendricks signed, and man, I got to get this guy's name down. Bashkul, Sandals, Bashkul. Got to brush up on the dude's name. Antonio Sandal Bascom. Antonio Sandals Bascom. Say it 3 times using a sentence. Get it down, Pat. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've got him at 90 scholarships right now. That's 4 quarterbacks, with Hank Hendricks being the most recent addition. Now, they'll still have walk-ons, obviously. I would assume at some point they're going to have an announcement for like tryouts, walk-on tryouts for spring football, because they're going to want to have 105. 13 of the freshmen and junior college players have enrolled, and all of the transfer additions have enrolled. And this is the team. Aside from the guys that haven't yet enrolled, like 5 guys that haven't yet enrolled, what is it, 5, 6, 7 guys that haven't enrolled. this is the team. There's no spring transfer portal window. So the team that they put out there for the red-white game, whenever that is in April, that'll be basically the team that you see out there. There won't be any guys leaving after this. There won't be any new guys coming in, aside from those who haven't enrolled yet, who are signed. So running back, I've got him at 6, which is a good number. If you can tell, I'm still a little bit rusty. My voice probably doesn't sound right either. I'm trying a new thing here with the audio to get it synced up because that's been bugging me. It just started happening randomly. So I'm using different ports. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. 6 running backs, 12 wide receivers. It's a good number of wide receivers. 5 tight ends. They basically hit pretty much every area except for, I think they're maybe a little bit light on the offensive line, but still 15 offensive linemen. 15, I would say, is the minimum. I would like to have seen a little bit more there. 8 defensive tackle, nose guard types. 7.33 defensive ends, as I mentioned. Donovan Whitman is one of those guys. 7.33, which is probably a little bit of a surplus at that spot. 4 jacks. And, again, like Jalen Allen, he could be a jack. I don't know if he's a jack or if he's a down lineman. I mean, he's kind of the same height as Quincy Rhodes, but he's not as heavy. Well, is he 245 or is he going to grow up to 265 or 275, 290? Is Trent Sellers, who's 6'4", 260, is he a defensive end or is he a jack? The jack, I think, is more of like a 250-pound, give or take kind of guy. Edge rusher. You're running 3 down linemen. Quincy Rhodes at 6'6", 275 is going to be more of a, interior down lineman guy, a 4-eye technique in this defense. 4 jacks, but it could be more. 8 linebackers. 7, I think, is a minimum. 8 cornerbacks. 9 would be the minimum, so they're a little off there, but also 9 minimum safeties, and they've got 10. So, and that kind of balances that. I just think 18 defensive backs total is probably what you should be at. Yeah, and 4 special teams players. 90.67 scholarships. That's where they're at right now. They're currently going through offseason. So this is what we've always called in the past, under the last few coaches, the 8-week training cycle. I don't know if it's going to be 8 weeks because spring break is pushed back so far this year. It's just a later spring break. We haven't got the spring football schedule yet. I would expect that to come out fairly soon. But this is also the first time that these coaches have had a beat. They've had a little bit of time just to kind of take a break from, not even to take a break because there's so much other stuff going on. But if you think about from the time Ryan Silverfield arrived at Arkansas, he had to assemble a staff. He had to assemble just everybody from a cornerbacks coach to a GM for football. Like all of these different positions had to be filled. But right out of the gate, it was like meet with the team, figure out who's going to stay, and maybe who doesn't need to stay or who might be leaving on their own. I mean, talking about meeting with every single returning player, going out and getting a few more recruits, retaining the recruits that you have, hiring a whole staff, and then you got basically during that time a full month to prepare for the chaotic 2 weeks of the transfer portal, which was wild. I mean, that was one of the wildest. That was like National Signing Day on steroids for 2 weeks. It was very intense. It was fun to follow along. Hope everybody enjoyed our coverage over at HawgSports with that. Danny, like to kill Danny, but he's doing okay. He's going to make it. So they had all that. And then right after that, they're out for the contact period for recruiting, so they're doing that for a month. And now finally they're in a dead period and there's no recruiting and stuff going on during the month of February, but that'll pick right back up. And then they've got spring football coming. So it is a little bit of a beat right now, in a sense. I'd like to tell you about our friends over at Walker Brothers. Walker Brothers brings you the finest men clothing from around the world, carefully selected to last, fit right, and help you look your best, from game day essentials to distinguished luxury wear. So they're over at 577 Millsap Road, Suite number 6, where they have been for a long time. They have a brand new location that literally feels like you're walking into some type of club or something. And by club, I don't mean like nightclub. I mean like a men's club, like a country club type of setting, but a nice one, like, with couches and TVs and this big area where you can get fitted for a suit, and then, all their clothes and all their other men's gear and stuff. So it's nice to know that somebody's taking care of the men out there. There's not a lot of great places to shop in Northwest Arkansas, but they have you taken care of. The new location is 3503 South 55th Street, Suite 101 in Rogers. But they have the store in Fayetteville also. Anyway, you should definitely go check them out. I've got stuff that I bought from Walker Brothers that have been in my closet for years, just iconic stuff that just last, just really high quality clothes. So go check out our friends at Walker Brothers for show. I had a cool experience at the Kentucky game that I wanted to share last week, but I got sick. I've been sick since basically Sunday after that Kentucky game. But you guys know I've said before, like, I like to go sit in the stands, get my media pass, sit in the media area, and then, like, sometimes maybe find a seat, or, usually I have friends that have seats, or maybe even a suite or something like that. But I really like to go sit in the stands. And I had great seats for that Kentucky game. So I went after a little bit and went and joined my wife and some friends over in the, right in the corner behind the Arkansas bench for the Kentucky game, a few rows up. And back to my right is Nolan Richardson sitting right there. And I could have reached out, shook his hand like that if I wanted to, but I didn't bother him. And there were people constantly coming up to him, taking pictures, telling him how much they appreciate him, all that stuff. A couple people asked me, hey, will you take our picture with Coach? Took the picture. Okay, that's not good. Let's do a vertical, So I took a lot of pictures with Coach Richardson stuff, and just saw how many people coming up to him, and it was just constant coming up to him every break. The cool thing that I got to do, though, was, basically when, they introduced him and they put the camera on him and stuff, and everybody's giving him a standing ovation. And I felt like I was right there in front of everybody, in the front of the whole arena. And I'm just giving it to him, like, because that's my childhood, right? Like, if you grew up in the 90s, like I was in high school and junior high in the 90s. And that was a great time to be a kid. And I just think about, like, what 16, 15, 14, 13-year-old Trey Biddy would have been doing, probably bawling, probably crying, probably would have wore him out trying to get pictures and stuff too. But I appreciated that moment of getting to sit right by Coach Richardson. Obviously the game didn't turn out like everybody wanted. And that happens sometimes. But after that, we went to Eastside Grill, not too far from there. And I'm sitting at the bar. We got a corner seat at the bar. And in walks Scotty Thurman. Scotty Thurman comes in. And Scotty, he's kind of more secluded. There's a little more shallow area on this side of the bar. And he's sitting there with his wife, and they're eating dinner and stuff. And I'm just like, wow, that's really cool. Like, to have two guys, from that era so close to me and that short. And it's, you get desensitized a little bit doing the job I do because I'm around it all the time. But, for that era, it's just kind of like, you get starstruck a little bit. And I've talked to Scotty Thurman and Coach Richardson and interviewed them and stuff in the past. But, I didn't bother either of them when I saw them. And this was cool too. Like, I was sitting at the bar, and a guy came up to me who knows me, and I was leaving the bathroom, and he comes up to me and he goes, I was in the bathroom, and when you were left, this guy comes in and goes, holy crap, I think that was Trey Biddy, which I thought was hilarious that anybody would say that about me in the first place. But, it reminds me a little, it makes me think a little bit just about being in Fayetteville, because I grew up in Sheridan and in junior high and high school, and North Little Rock in elementary school. And I just wasn't, I had people who know me. I have three sisters. My dad lived in Georgia. We lived in North Little Rock, my grandmother. So I was just kind of surrounded by women my whole life. And I was the only one who really put a heavy emphasis on Razorback stuff. So I didn't get to go to a lot of Razorback games. I never went up to Fayetteville as a kid, aside from going on FCA trips and stuff. Stuart Harrington asked me to my first football game. I saw Miami and Arkansas play in 91 when they beat Arkansas pretty good. They won the national championship that year. That was my first game. 92, I went with my dad to the Alabama game. first SEC game. Like, these are my experiences. You know, I went to the SMU game one of the years they won when I was like a junior or something in high school. Not a lot of experiences. I never went to a game in Barnhill Arena growing up. My first game was a freshman in college in Bud Walton Arena. I think it was Jackson State. They beat the crap out of them. And I don't know. I just think about the experiences that you have in Fayetteville, you know, running into people who are legends, you know, seeing them all the time, seeing them about town and stuff. You know, Calipari talking about, you know, you'll see me in Walmart sometimes. And I think about my daughter, like taking her to games since she was a toddler or a baby, maybe. I don't know. But how many games you know, they're running around the arena and stuff with their friends and stuff. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was pretty cool. Pretty cool experience. But yeah, I didn't go to a lot of games in Fayetteville. I went to the Georgia game on a 92 FCA trip. I went to the 95 Tennessee game on an FCA trip. I went to a fraternity rush deal during the Louisiana something 95. That was a lot different experience than the FCA trips, I'll tell you. But anyway, hey, I want to tell you real quick, Back Nine Golf in Fayetteville has just opened up. So if you're not familiar with Back Nine, this is something that if you're a golfer, this is something we really needed in Fayetteville. And they opened up, they're over on College Avenue. They have several different membership deals. So they've got 4 hitting bays. They've got 4 hitting bays, and it is like the full swing simulators. It's like $60,000 setup in each one of these things. This is like very elite. What I love about it is when you hit the ball and it hits the screen, it just keeps going. There's no delay because they've got like lasers pointed at the screen stuff. You get feedback from everything. There's nothing missing on, you know, swing speed, launch angle, all that kind of stuff. Like a lot of the TrackMan and all those kind of things have something missing, you know, whether it's ball speed or club speed or something. It's got everything. It's got literally everything. Really cool deal. But they've got several different monthly membership plans that you can sign up for. You can pay all at once, I think, and get a discount too. But they start at $159 a month. There's several different tiers. The package that I think is really cool is the Eagle package. It's $325, but you can split it. You can split it with another person, okay? And you can bring guests with you also. You can book you can book out times 2 different times. I think it's a really cool deal. I've been up there 12 times since it pre-opened. It hadn't opened yet. So go check them out. You can go to Back Nine Golf. There's a link down in the description on YouTube. Check them out. You can book a free tour also and go check out you can book a demo. So I would recommend you doing that and go check out our friends over at Back Nine Golf. All right, Connor Goodson's going to join us now. We're going to talk a little Razorback basketball. Connor joins us on the Ozarks Go hotline. If you need fast, reliable internet service and you're lacking, you can reach out to them at 479-684-4900 or go to ozarksgo.net/hog, HAWG. The other day, Connor, I was like, it was midnight, and I was like, my internet went out. I'm not going to be able to say that I've never unplugged my router or my internet has worked 100% of the time. Then I look online and it goes, hey, we're going to have a network outage from midnight to 6, sometime between there. It was 10 minutes. My internet. So it was actually scheduled, and I just didn't see it. But I was like, oh my gosh, it just crapped out on me. But anyway, yeah, that was like 12:30 at night when that happened. So still pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So Connor, Arkansas basketball, a nice win over Mississippi State, a 20-point win over the Bulldogs on the road. It feels like one week we're saying, okay, this team's overrated and they're not good, and then the next we're saying, okay, they're back.
Yeah. I mean, for them to respond to, obviously being on the road, they had the week off, which I think really, really helped them. But it's rare you see a team go into the bye week completely healthy and come out of it missing 2 key players. But I thought that they really responded to that adversity of not having those 2 guys on the road in an environment that historically Arkansas teams have really struggled in down there in Starkville. And I thought that it was a really complete performance from them. They did the opposite of what they've done in a lot of road games past. They started off quick. They went on that big run to really get some separation in Mississippi State. really wasn't in the game from there on. I think that the closest they got from that point at the end of the first half was like 13 points. So really big response from him. How about Isaiah Seeley, the in-state kid, coming in, giving him big minutes? I think he showed he deserves a little bit of run every game moving forward. Give him 5-10 minutes, even when everyone's back healthy. And I thought that they just, guys stepped up how they needed to. The only thing, man, we got to see consistency. If they come out here and lay a dud against LSU, it's just you're back to square one with this team, and that's been the deal. Can they show that consistency game to game that's kind of preventing them from being a legitimate contender in my eyes?
Is LSU going to have Thomas, and what's the status right now with Knox and well, I'm spacing on his name.
Wagner. Yeah. So Cal obviously said that DJ Wagner is he's dealing with an ankle. Carter Knox dealing with a knee injury suffered in practice. Apparently, DJ's injury has been nagging him a little bit, and Carter suffered his knee injury in practice, so he was kind of a little bit more of a surprise. Dayton Thomas, I don't know if I imagine he'll be listed as questionable for this game, as well as DJ Wagner and Carter Knox. That's what Cal said in his press conference after the game, that they'll be listed as questionable. I would expect out of those three, DJ Wagner is probably the most likely to play. I've heard mixed reactions on whether Knox is an extended.
What kind of knee are we talking about? A bruise or?
I couldn't get any clarification. They're trying to keep that under wraps. I just know that the wording that was used was he tweaked it in practice. And I don't know if it was just someone ran into him or if it was a non-contact. This staff with injuries, they play
tweaked.
It
sounds soft tissue-ish.
Yeah. And I've heard mixed things. I've heard like he could be out extended time. And then there was one staffer who told me, we're just taking it day by day with him, just being cautious. So, it's kind of up in the air, but the feeling was that DJ Wagner probably, if it was an emergency, maybe could have pushed it. They just don't want to, him go out there and aggravate it even further. Right. But I would expect maybe you see DJ play more so than, Knox, and then Thomas is kind of up in the air with LSU. But if he does play, it's a big get for them.
Let's see what Cal had to say post game real quick. It's a minute clip.
When DJ's ankle and Carter's knee, just okay, they're out. Now we got 6, but it gave Isaiah a chance. He defended. He got 3 blocks. So now we found another player. Will they play? I don't know. They're probably questionable, I would say, for Tuesday. I didn't know Carter, but I knew his knee was bothering him. But I knew after the game that it would be hard but we were telling him, try to get yourself ready at DJ. But again, he's here's a guy that plays so hard. He can't go at 80% the way he plays. Who has coached you in the past? Either you do it in practice so it becomes firsthand in the game, not like, well, I'm going to bust through during the game. Yeah, you can for 2 minutes. Done doing blockout drills. You either get the ball or you come out. We had 4 returners, but 2 of those guys are out now. Now we got a brand new team again.
So let's talk about this. Mm-hmm. Got Florida number 1 right now. They're 8-2. Kentucky's 8-3. Arkansas 7-3. Texas A&M is 7-3. Arkansas still they got Texas A&M on February 25th. They got Florida on the 28th. That's going to be a big. That'll be a big week. That's Wednesday and Saturday. So that'll be a really important week. And then Texas is right after that too. So they've got some challenges coming up. They played Missouri twice on both ends of that, and Alabama before that. So I mean they have a schedule still. Let's see. Florida plays Kentucky twice. They play Kentucky twice. Of course, they play Arkansas.
Yeah.
They just played Texas A&M. They just beat Texas A&M. Kentucky plays Texas A&M. They play Florida twice, obviously, as I just mentioned. So they've got, it's all up in the air, basically. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M plays Arkansas. But it's all up in the air. And they got Kentucky also. They got to play Kentucky. As far as the 1 seed winning the regular season, but there's a lot of interesting games to play these final 8.
A lot of important ones, and the door is wide open, as you just said, for this Arkansas team to go and take it if they want to, because they're going to have opportunities to beat all these teams that are up there vying for it. Even Auburn coming to town. You look at this next stretch. If you win at LSU, there's no real true gimmies. Missouri is a team that has been hit or miss, but they're very capable of beating really good teams. So this final stretch, I think, is going to tell us a lot about this Arkansas team. And coming into the season, this roster on paper has the talent to go out there. They're a league-winning roster, like just on paper. And if you get them on their best day, they can beat anyone in this league. They can hang with anyone in the country. It's just about harnessing that, taking it game to game, and obviously carrying it for stretches during the majority of the game, where you're not having these lulls where teams are giving you kill shot after kill shot, 10-0 runs, 15-0 runs, to where it just kind of breaks your spirit. And I think that this Arkansas team, my one hope for them in this bye week was that they can maybe do a little bit of soul searching, maybe, Calipari's tweak some things to where you can get the best of this team on a consistent basis, because it is a team that you coming into the season, man, that expectation was to compete for a league title and then compete for one of those top 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. It's still there, but you're definitely going to have to bring your best ball of the season to this final stretch, because it's a gauntlet.
And they're going to need Darius Acuff to continue to be Darius Acuff. I mean, he is, like, everywhere you look, or talk to people or see on our message board, people are like, where does he rank all time? Greatest. I mean, as far as guards go, he's, if they make some move in March, he's going to be up there. But a lot of people are like best since Corliss or best since Joe. But you look at the season that he's having. He's scored 20 points in a row, including 31. Let's see, I brought his stats up. 31 against LSU. Hopefully he has another big game against LSU. 21 against Oklahoma, 22 in the loss to Kentucky, and 24 against Mississippi State. He's averaging like 6.3 assists per game and 21 points or something. So
it's insane.
20 and a half points per game, 6.3 assists, only 2.0 turnovers, 3 rebounds. I mean, but it's not just the stats, and he's shooting 42% from 3. It's not just the stats, it's what he does at the end of the game.
Yes.
Like taking over time and time again, making the big shot that has to be made. I mean, an exceptional season so far.
I wrote about this in my takeaways, but the end of half there for
hitting that 3.
Yeah, hitting that 3, that is a 6-point swing right there. And I think you could look back at that play, that broke Mississippi State's spirit, because they're within 7. Arkansas gets a couple turnovers, they push it to 10. They're holding for the last shot. Thomas, Acuff and Pringle blitz Hubbard there. They forced a turnover. Thomas gets it ahead to Acuff. Acuff, ice cold, buries the 3 to make it a 13-point lead going into halftime. Mississippi State never got within more than that 13-point margin stayed the rest of the game. Like they never got any closer than that. So just a freshman to be able to do that, to have just that cold-blooded killer mentality, to where not only is he great, minutes 1 through 35, but the last 5 minutes of a game, he has been really, really spectacular. And for a freshman to do that, it's very, very rare.
All right, Connor, appreciate you joining us. Big game tomorrow. Go to HawgSports and read all of Connor's opinion pieces and numbers breakdowns as you get ready for the LSU game on Tuesday. Thanks, Connor.
Thanks, Trey.
All right, everybody, that's Connor Goodson. Follow him at Connor Goodson on X. We're going to be joined here next by Kevin Bohannon. Going to talk a little bit about Razorback baseball, but I'd like to first tell you about our friends over at Blakeman's Fine Jewelry. Proud to be the official jeweler of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Thrilled to support the team and be a part of the Razorback tradition, especially during those big game moments where Arkansas gets engaged. Since 1987, Blakeman's has been Northwest Arkansas's trusted destination for exceptional jewelry and personalized service. From fine diamonds to crafted custom pieces, their family-owned store delivers exceptional quality and craftsmanship for every occasion. Visit them at their brand-new location, 3202 Pinnacle Hills Parkway, Rogers, Arkansas, 72758. You can also shop them online at blakemansfinejewelry.com. K-Bo.
What's going on, Trey Biddy?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Man, it's baseball week. We got baseball this
week.
week.
That's right. You're headed down to Arlington. You're going down on Friday, I guess. The first pitch is 7:00, right, against Oklahoma State?
Correct. Yes. First pitch is 7:00 on both Friday and Saturday. Then we got a little afternoon matinee with the Red Raiders on Sunday at 2:30.
So, what can you tell us about, I guess, the latest happenings? I know that they scrimmaged. They've held a couple of scrimmages lately, but they scrimmaged this past weekend also. What did you find out from the scrimmage?
Yeah, big thing is, weather's played an issue so far. We know how cold it's been with the ice and snow and everything. So last year, Arkansas got out quite a bit during the preseason, and they were able to scrimmage. And, they just got outside for the second time on Friday, February 6th. So the thing is that they've got to get out there and take some fly balls. They got to take a lot of fly balls. We saw more errors than what Dave Van Horn would like to see. The pitching's been really good. The biggest thing about Arkansas is will they have the pitching depth? And I know we'll talk about that here in a sec, but they will. They've had a couple of guys that really stood out this past weekend. Jackson Kircher, who came over from Oklahoma, the former Little Rock Christian, stand out. He has looked very good in the preseason. Mark Brissy and Joey Lorenzini, two freshmen that have been highly regarded in their prep careers. They're doing really well so far. Brissy had 2 innings, 3 strikeouts in his latest outing on Saturday. So the depth looks like it's going to be there. Cooper Dawsett has continued to look really good, and he's a redshirt junior. He has that veteran experience. So the pitching is coming together very well right now. I'm hoping the lineup does. I think they may struggle a little bit early on trying to find their identity offensively.
Yeah, new lineup. So what can you expect from this lineup? Home runs or, situational hitting? What?
Yeah, this is going to be a more athletic team. When you look 1 through 9, of course, you got some guys that are coming back like Cam Kozel. I think Kozel is the best pro-ready hitter in the lineup right now, along with Ryder Helfrich. So that's really good foundation to build everything around. You got Kuhio Aloy back down the stretch last season. He was either feast or famine. It was going to be home run or strikeout. It can't be like that this year. He's looked pretty good so far in the preseason. He's got to figure out if he's going to be a right fielder at the next level or if his college career is going to end as a designated hitter. That's the biggest thing he's got to figure out right now. Mike Anu has been making a push as one of those guys, as a fan favorite for Razorbacks. He's done some interviews, and he's got that personality that everybody loves. Coming over from Marshall, he's going to be the centerpiece in center field in the middle of the lineup. So he could bat leadoff, could be one of the 3 through 5 hitters that has some pop. So this team's going to run more. They're going to have more stolen bases. They're going to have to hit and run more this season to manufacture runs. They're not going to hit 127 home runs. If they do, I will be just as surprised as Dave Van Horn.
Mm-hmm. What about this rotation? Do we think it'll be like a bunch of moving parts, or do you think it'll be pretty consistent?
Last year they had 4 starters. They had Gabe Gackle, Root, Gage Wood, and then the big lefty at the end. So then Gage Wood got hurt, and it was that everything was set. Now this year, you got Gabe Gackle back on Friday. Hunter Dietz is going to be your number 2 guy. He has looked really good. He went 4 innings, gave up a run, but had 6 strikeouts, only walked 1 on Saturday this past week. Then Colin Fisher, it hasn't been announced yet, but he's going to be your Sunday guy. He went 5 innings, the big tuna, and that's going to be your starting rotation for weekend 1. I think Cole Gibbler, Tate McGuire could be guys that could push for starting time. Wouldn't surprise me even if Cooper Dawsett. Dawsett was one of the highest rated pitchers coming out of the state in 2022, along with Gage Wood. He had MLB draft interest that year. He's been hurt, but he has gotten healthy. He's showing what he can do on the mound now, and it's just a matter of where he fits. He could start, he could long relieve, he could close. But those really are kind of the top 6 right now. And then Jackson Kircher, as I mentioned earlier. Kirch could start, but I think he's more of a back-end guy at this point.
Kevin Bohannon joining us. You can follow him at Cabo Baseball Guru on X and read all of his content at HawgSports.com. And be sure to check out all his baseball previews, everything coming up throughout the week as we get ready to get this season going. What about the depth with the pitching staff? Do they have enough depth to get them to the postseason, get them to Omaha?
Yeah, there's a thing I say every year that you need. You need to be able to score runs more than just hitting a home run. You need to have at least 10 pitchers you can rely on at any point during a game to get outs. And the third thing you can't really control is a little bit of luck, but you can kind of make your luck. Can't really control injuries. But those are the three things that really, if the stars had to align, that's what every Omaha champion has at the end of the day and the end of the season. So right now you got 10, and that's not even counting the freshmen. So if you got the weekend starters, Gackle, Dietz, and Fisher, then you got Jackson Kircher, Ethan McIlvain, who came over from Vanderbilt. He's looked good. You got James DeCramer, Cole Gibbler, who a lot of people thought would be the third starter. Personally, I didn't see it. I thought he would be a better weapon out of the bullpen. He could be one of those end-of-the-game guys that could close. He eventually will start at Arkansas, but he's just a true sophomore. Tate McGuire's in his third year. You've got the veteran Parker Coyle, who turned down draft money from the Milwaukee Brewers to come back. Steele Leeds and then Cooper Dawsett. So right there, you got 11 guys. So you got 11 guys that you could throw out there. And with that, Trey, you've got 5 lefties right there, 3 out of the bullpen, 2 in the starting rotation. So you got a great mix and a great balance. I remember last preseason, I asked Coach Van Horn, is this the most balanced that your pitching staff has ever been? And he said, yeah. And I talked to him recently. He said, yeah, it's even better than last year. So the balance is there. The depth is there. Now they just got to go out there and perform.
What is it about DVH where he just draws so much talent in? I mean, I don't think he's working with the same, NIL rev share budget that some other places are. What do you think it is? Just reputation?
Yeah, reputation and his consistency to hold people accountable. And that starts from him on down. It's not a coincidence that he's had Nate Thompson and Matt Hobbs here since 2018. Those guys have been with him, even though they've had the opportunity to move on to the next level or move on to another school as possibly a head coach. He holds them accountable just like he holds himself accountable. They look for the right fit, first of all, as a character of a player when they come in. They're not going to pay players to come to the University of Arkansas. He's set that precedent early on. Most likely in the Paul Skeens, heated debate a few years ago when LSU ended up getting him and ultimately won a national title. But they put the same type of player on the field, no matter the position, year after year. Guys that want to be there, want to work hard. They're their brother's keeper on the field. At the end of the day, they can rely on them and hold each other accountable.
We got a question for you here. People always tell me, like around the country, other team sites and stuff are like, Arkansas fans have the best names. This one's out there. Pig Venus wants to know, how far will the baseball team go this year?
It's a great question. And Thursday, you will be able to read my week-by-week prediction that I've done. This will be the second straight year for HawgSports.com. I've been able to put that out. So make sure you turn in Thursday. It'll be out there for everybody to see. We go week by week prediction, get the player, it'll get a little fun with it, but it'll have the record for a conference play and the overall record and my projection on where they go. Look, I think this team can end in Omaha. By that point, that's all you're asking for as a head coach. You want a chance to get there. If you're there, anything can happen. We saw it with Coastal Carolina last year, getting right there to the championship series, and they just came up short against LSU. Of course, Arkansas fans know what happened last year. There was the highest of highs, the lowest of lows with a no-hitter, and then losing it the way they did to LSU. So I think they do have the potential. I think there is more. Last year, I had a pretty good idea of, okay, this is their shot. I thought last year was Dave Van Horn's best shot to win a national championship before the season. I think you could swing either way the pendulum this year. There's a little bit of unknown on the offensive side of the ball. The pitching staff is there. They're going to have to, create runs a little bit more than what they did last season, I believe, to get some wins. So if they have the ball bounce right their way, they win 40 regular season games, they're a top 8 seed, and then they move on just like they have every other year. Or they don't perform as well on offense. They end up winning 34, 35 games, get a number 2 seed, and have to go on the road. So I could see, both ends of the spectrum so far this year.
All right, Cabo. Appreciate you joining us, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, everybody. That's Kevin Bohannon. Follow him at Cabo Baseball Guru on X. And, of course, read all his content. He's got 3 pretty interesting pieces coming up this week on Hog Sports. Okay. So Arkansas basketball is 3.5-point favorites on the road at 8 o'clock against LSU. And the over-under on Bet Saracen is 163.5. I'm going to take Arkansas, and I'm going to take the over also. I'm going to take Arkansas and the over for our Bet Saracen wager wagon pick. So if you haven't gone to Bet Saracen, you go check them out. They are Arkansas's #1 sports betting app. And right now, if you sign up and make your first bet of $25, you will get $250 back in bonuses just by using the promo code BIDDY250, capital B, lowercase IDDY 250 all together. Click the link below if you're on YouTube, but just using that promo code should get you squared away. BIDDY250. Check out our friends over at Bet Saracen.
Arkansas's Fab Five for Bet Saracen.
Man, I love Bet Saracen's promo page.
Promos, man. Lots of options for profit boosts, bonus bets, and more.
Who you flirting with now, Pat?
Not flirting, working. Talking with my Bet Saracen host. She's putting together an event for VIPs.
You know any?
Come on, man, I'm the shooter.
And only Bet Saracen has hosts.
Bet Saracen.
Okay, so let's get into a couple of comments here. We've got Arkansas Basketball 1 says, do you think Silverfield will switch uniforms? That's a good question. Quincy Rhodes, week before last, posted a picture, just like an AI deal of him in all black. I'm not opposed to all black. I'm really not. Like, people think of me as a traditionalist. I just want things to look good. I want it to be clean, not a bunch of mess all over it. I remember the ones they wore back in the Petrino era that were like, had the fake shadow coming up the back. They had buzz saws on the shoulder. They had all these patches and stuff, just noisy, like clean and sharp. As long as it looks like that, I don't even care if it's all black. I don't, as long as there's red in it. I didn't hate the chrome anthracite helmet. I'll say it. I didn't hate that. But Arkansas has been in these Darren McFadden-style jerseys for a long time. And unfortunately, they have not lived up to what they should. They first started those, I believe they just did the homes in 2018 under Chad Morris. That's when they started it. And then the next year they had the home and the away, because the home were technically an alternate jersey, but they use them as their home uniform. So it's not been a good run in the Darren McFadden uniforms. Sam Pittman used them the entire time. This is the only time since I can remember, since I've been following Arkansas closely, that they didn't switch uniforms every couple of years. They have switched every couple of years. Even like the more traditional, when you think about the Clint Sterner uniform, they still, like, they changed the stripes. Sometimes they had a fat stripe on the leg. Sometimes they had a double stripe. Remember the terrible Apex uniforms that are almost beautiful now that it's, so much time has passed. It would be hilarious if they brought those back as throwbacks. Everything that, Houston Nutt, they did, like, it's like, these are close, but then they had the dagger down the side of the leg and stuff, like, these are close to being good, but why did they put the dagger down the leg? The ones with the tusk coming up the side. They've done something different every couple of years until just recently with these Darren McFadden, which I love the Darren McFadden looking jersey. I do. But I also wouldn't be opposed to seeing it mixed up a little bit. Let's see something else maybe. I'm not a big fan of the, new Arkansas font personally. I'm not a fan of a lot of the new stuff that they've done. I would like to see a reworking of the forward-facing logo. I understand the need to have a forward-facing logo because, that was basically ESPN, SEC Network, when they started all that. They're like, hey, we need a forward-facing logo. You saw Georgia come out with a new logo. You saw Arkansas come out with the hog. The thing about a logo, the best ones aren't necessarily – am I not plugged in here? The best ones aren't necessarily an actual drawing of the mascot. They are a representation of the mascot. For example, like the current Arkansas logo is the side profile of a Razorback. It's got an eye, it's got, it's drawn on. The previous version of the same logo was not a hog. It was more of an outline of a hog. There was like empty space. There wasn't really an eye. It was just like, it was like a clear, you know what I mean? The Penn State logo is not a lion, a Nittany lion from Nittany Mountain. It is a symbol of a lion. The Detroit Lions line is not a lion. It's an outline of a lion. Seattle Seahawks, Atlanta Hawks. I mean, the best logos are not just a drawing of the animal. It's a representation of the animal. I would like to see something change with like that forward-facing hog, maybe just a snout, maybe a snout and tusk or something. And I've talked about recently some of my other thoughts on Razorback traditions. The one Razorback. I'm not a big fan of that. It's okay. Hashtag one Razorback. I think it would speak to us a little bit more if it was ain't but one. Hashtag ain't but one or something like that. Because that was the quote, ain't but one Razorback. Houston Nut, ain't but one. I've talked about the throwing the A, which you don't see too much. The Tuscum thing, which I think is lame. Let's do Diamond Dallas Page, DDP, the Diamond State. I think that would be cool. If you're going to do a hand sign, I'm not opposed to this with the nose, with the snout, just pointing to your nose. I think that's fine. Some of the stuff that, just feels like a little bit forced, when it should be more organic. It shouldn't be like, obviously we're all supporting Razorback stuff, but it should be more like, I don't know, coming from the fans kind of, or coming from the players. Got that wood, Darren McFadden. Good with that one. Got that wood. Put that everywhere. I'm good with that. Yeah, just my opinions on stuff. I'm not a big fan of the never yield stuff. That was a Jeff Long deal. The one Razorback thing came along from Chad Morris, and we're going to hold on to that one. The never yield was Jeff Long. I just think that's so proper. Never yield. Never yield, Razorback fans. Like what are we, 1920s or something? I mean, I get it's in the fight song. I can do the fight song. Can you? Hit that line, keep on going. I like hit that line. Move that ball right down the field. Give a cheer. Never fear. Arkansas will never yield. Never yield. I've talked about the hog call too. Do you do jazz fingers? You do the palms. I always have done the palms since childhood. And then it says in the description that you're supposed to do jazz fingers. And I see people doing jazz fingers, but I see a lot more older people doing the hands. You guys remember Pat Gazzola, great Razorback fan. Rest in peace, Pat, owner of the Catfish Hole, which I guess is just Janie Gazzola running it now. But Pat had the most vicious, it almost looked like something from Thriller or something. But he had a vicious hog call. I mean, it just looked so aggressive. Best one I ever saw. Okay. Next question. I kind of went off on one, didn't I? The Razorback says good early Tuesday morning from Bangkok. Never been to Thailand. I've always wanted to go to Chiang Mai if I go to Thailand. It's supposed to be like the fruit capital of the world. I've never had durian before. If you've had durian, let me know what you think of it, but apparently it's very mixed reviews. It smells like rotten onions or something, but some people think it tastes good. Some people think cilantro tastes like soap. Some people think cilantro tastes really good. I want to know what side of the fence I am with the durian. I like cilantro. I like cumin. Some people think cumin smells like body odor. I guess it does to me also, but I still like it for some reason. Live-in guy says, Trey, 2 questions for you. Where would you rank this last coaching search among your most favorite, least favorite that you have covered? Also, in all the coaching search and all the coaching changes, do we know if Larry the bowling ball was retained by you? That was Sam Pittman's deal. Larry, the thing with gimmicks and slogans and stuff is they will throw them back at you when things don't work out. Like Sam Pittman taking the picture with all the trophies. He had won all the rivalry trophies, and won the bowl game. That kind of stuff gets thrown back at you. That was a big deal for Arkansas to go bowling that year. They had sucked for 3 years in a row, and they made it to a bowl game, and they won the bowl game. They won 9 games that season. Larry the bowling ball. Everybody thought it was funny. Good old Sam Pittman, Cold Beer, Coach Cold Beer. Now he's Coach Cold Beer, but when he was saying like, I think I have me old Cold Beer, everybody's like, yeah, that's my coach. That's my coach. And then it was like, old Coach Cold Beer can't win a game. I mean, it gets thrown back again. Sam Pittman was never big on slogans and stuff. Even the jukebox was just an organic thing. He's like, he's like, you wanted to say something to the team. He's like, all right, turn on that damn jukebox. Turn that damn jukebox back on or something like that. And from that, it became his slogan, or yes, sir. That's when he came with from Georgia. But like, he wasn't a big like slogan. Sam Pittman wasn't big on any of that kind of stuff. Like, he wasn't big on giving a walk-on a scholarship. We'd find out a walk-on got a scholarship because we'd ask. There was no big like ceremony or big presentation in front of the team or something. Like, that just wasn't his style to do that kind of stuff. I think you should do stuff like that. I think it's good for the program, good for exposure and stuff. But Pittman didn't really like it. But they will throw that back at you the moment you don't have success. Brett Bielema wanted people that were uncommon. We're real uncommon, Brett. This is real uncommon. I answered Pig's question with Kevin Bohannon. Joshua 11 says, Trey, any chance we can get Silverfield or other staff members on the show? Maybe that's possible. Something to look into. I would love to get an interview with Geiska Crowley, but I feel like they're going to do some kind of media circuit with these assistant coaches and let us get at least one interview with them. I'm interested also to see Ryan Silverfield's policy on letting assistant coaches talk. Like at Alabama right now, the coordinators talk to the media. I don't know if that's every week or what the schedule is on that, but they talk to the media. I like that. I like being able to talk to the assistant coaches. Sam was more closed off on some of those things than I expected him to be. But he didn't, and I think maybe a lot of that comes from his time with Kirby Smart, because he didn't seem like that when he was an assistant coach at Arkansas. But he came to Arkansas from Georgia and seemed to have some different philosophies and stuff. And of course, Kirby has had success. So maybe that was the right decision, but I like the opportunity to, during the season to talk to a coordinator at least. We used to talk to, and times have changed. They always, just time changes, right? Policies change. But we used to, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, this is all before COVID, but we would talk to all offensive players one day and an offensive assistant coach or two, and then the same thing the next day. Talk to all defensive players. Several of them would come in and we just kind of have breakout interviews with them, not at the podium or anything. But that's all changed. Just times have changed. A lot changed since COVID, with doing more Zoom press conferences and stuff. I didn't even know what Zoom was, I don't think, before COVID. Pittsburgh Squealer says, Trey, pleasure seeing you at the Kentucky game. Yeah, Pittsburgh Squealer was sitting down, again, another great hog name, was sitting down in front of me at the Kentucky game, just literally right in front of me. How would you feel about Billy Richmond getting the third most guard minutes behind Acuff and Thomas? I think it needs to happen consistently for the rest of the season. Everybody's a big Billy Richmond fan. That was something that Calipari said in the preseason, just like people always asking about Billy Richmond. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I like the hustle. To me, Billy Richmond is the quintessential Arkansas guard. Like, all the great teams have had a guy like Billy Richmond, a guy that just pure hustle all the time. So I'm not opposed to that. Especially right now, you got DJ out, Carter Knox is out. So it makes sense at this point to do that. Okay, I'm kind of down at the bottom there, but I think we're probably going to wrap things up. Yes, we are. Did we get to everything? Hey, one more time, I just want to tell you guys about Back Nine. That's a buddy of mine. who started that up, and I've been there several times. It's really cool. Just look it up on, just search it, or you can click the link below. It's Back Nine Golf. It's in Fayetteville. It's, they got 3 hitting bays right out in the front. Okay. And then off to the side, there's another section where like you can reserve this and stuff, but it's got a hitting bay, it's got a bar, but it's BYOB, bring your own drinks and stuff, but it's got a bar, a hitting bay, it's got a pool table, chairs and all that stuff. Like think about like doing stuff like fantasy football or, having your friends in there for a game weekend or something like that. Like you can do a lot of cool stuff like that. I have gone there for away basketball games with some buddies, and we'll watch the game on one of the TV. They've got several TVs all through the place, but you can watch the game. One day there was nobody in the middle hitting bay, and we put the game on the big screen on the hitting bay, and we're playing golf on the other one, I think we were playing St. Andrews that day. The other day I played TPC Scottsdale, because they're doing the waste management deal. But one of the things I like about it, when you hit the ball, it hits the screen and it just keeps going because they've got the lasers pointed at the screen, and they've got the full swing simulator going down here. So you hit the ball and it hits the screen and it keeps going. And then after it lands, you get a pop-up, and it's got some of your stats and stuff on it, right? But it's also got a slow-mo camera of the ball, the club making impact with the ball. And it gives you everything from, obviously where you hit the ball in the face, but it gives you, your launch angle, your smash factor, your club head speed, the ball speed, the apex. I mean, the side spin, the back spin. I mean, it gives you every bit of every measurement that you could possibly imagine. You can do practice sessions where it, combines everything, and, you puts it out in a spreadsheet and all this stuff. There's an app. One of the cool things too, like, so say it's 3:00 in the morning and you can't sleep, you can go on there, you can book your tee time and just go up there, and your phone, you have an app on your phone, and that's the key to get in. It's open 24/7. I see people booking like 6:00 in the morning a lot. Like, I guess people like to go up there before work or something, hit some balls. So anyway, I think it's a cool deal. I think it's something that Fayetteville has lacked for a while. It's definitely affordable, especially if you love mashing golf balls like I do, which I love to do. I love just mashing golf balls. I love playing, and I love practicing. So if you like that, then check out Back Nine Golf. It's a good deal. You can book a free demo also, which I would highly recommend if you're even considering it. All right, everybody. Thanks to Connor Goodson. Thanks to Kevin Bohannon, and appreciate all of you and your questions. And just thanks for watching the show, and glad to be back. I'm still not 100%. Luckily, I did not have to blow my nose, but I thought I was going to have to take a break and blow my nose. Or I guess luckily I didn't snot everywhere, because that's happened too. It's not been pretty. All right, everybody. Appreciate you joining me. This has been Trey Biddy with HawgSports.com. We'll catch you next time.